Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining the Trendstar Realty Associate Orientation Training. Um, I know everybody's busy and your time is valuable, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Um, so this training is actually divided up into three sections, as you can see. We'll talk about a little bit about the history that's important, structure and policy. Uh, Section 2, our systems, processes, tools, and training, and then a very short section number 3, just to kind of go over some recent activities with the company. Uh, Moving into section 1, it's important that you know a little bit of background history, both not only just the company, but also the broker, which is me. And my name is Jay Lyde, by the way, and I'm coming at you from League City, Texas, about halfway between Galveston and Houston. So anyway, a legacy of service. I was actually licensed in 1996, and 2 years later, got my broker's license, and founded an investment company. This corporation was actually strictly an investment company when it started, and it didn't actually convert into a brokerage and investment firm until '04. My wife and I actually started buying fourplexes before we ever even purchased our own home. That was interesting, buying multifamily properties from living in an apartment complex. But that's just how passionate we were about it, and we're really just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. But we've always been fortunate in real estate, and real estate's always been good to us. So in '07, as a matter of fact, I was a broker in a couple of different states, both Colorado and Texas. And that multi-state expansion came when I moved from Colorado to Texas. Um, I'm actually from here originally, but the military kind of moved me around um, over the years. And one of the places they stationed me was Colorado, and so I was there for actually 6 years. But in '07, right at the point of the foreclosure crisis, is when we expanded, we moved to Texas, and then of course the company expanded at that point as well. As broker in two different states. I had a broker back in Colorado running the shop for me, and recruiting was way down. In fact, people were leaving because of again, the foreclosure crisis and the impact that had on the real estate industry at large. So in April of 2017, we underwent a company rebranding and changed the name even again. At this point, a good, dear, sweet friend of mine, Matt Jones, owner of Trendstar Construction, he had been doing business in our region for 15, 17 years, and had already established a fantastic reputation of service and integrity. And I just told him, I said, I'm thinking about just branding my company after your name, the Trendstar name. And then he was doing a logo change and some color scheme changes as well. And so I said, I'm just going to do that right along with you. So that's when that came about. A real quick note on our vision and mission statements. As for our vision, complete clientele contentment. Obviously, we want our clients to be beyond delighted with the service they receive from us. But we're not going to apologize for making money either. And that's where that professional prosperity comes into play. I find that to be extremely important, that we take our income producing activities and our revenue generating activities very seriously. And that's the reason why, as you'll see, that this company is structured the way it is. Our mission: achieving universal wins in real estate through expertise, efficiency, and economization. And we're going to dive into each one of those pillars individually here in just a moment. But I just want to take a quick second to discuss the concept of universal wins. I'm a big believer in everybody in every transaction getting wins. I don't want anybody walking away feeling like they were cheated or got the short end of the stick or anything to that effect. Real estate's one of those really neat industries in which if you know what you're doing, you can definitely craft wins for everybody involved. So I'm pretty big on that, and that's one of the reasons I really like doing what we do. For expertise, it's just like I say, it's kind of important for you to know about me. As I said, I was originally licensed in '96, and so I've over 23 years experience in real estate. Again, licensed broker in multiple states. Uh, so there's really not a transaction type that I haven't done, whether that be for clients or for myself personally, or representing the company as a principal in the transaction. Residential, commercial, multifamily, single family, obviously the traditional things, the VA, FHA, and conventional type loan products, but also just the creative financing type strategies for property disposition, such as subject to wraparound mortgages, all-inclusive trust deed, lease with purchase option, land contract, land installment contract, contract for deed, you name it, I've done it. And so I think that's important that you know that your broker has experience doing these things and understands them fully, has the documentation to be able to pull those off, and can answer any questions you have that you might come up with throughout, the management and the execution of the transactions you're involved in and your clientele. So, and as it says there, we're committed to taking our associates to the next level. You can, explore whatever it is you want to explore, because we've been there and done that. So we're happy to help out and increase both your breadth and depth of experience, as well as your knowledge base along the way. Efficiency standpoint, you know, Trendstar Realty is based on efficiency in a lot of ways. The bottom line is it's everything you need, nothing you don't. Um, it's just the right balance between, management of the company and company personnel, but at the same time autonomy. So your self-paced training, excuse me, available to you through your associate portal access and our back office management platform. Um, that's where we do our personnel management, financial reporting, and accounting as well. But we also do, our onboarding through this, and you get your free marketing materials, your scripts, your visual aids, your presentations, that sort of thing. And then our online secure transaction file management platform that we use seamlessly integrates with our back office management system. And so it's just really, really slick. And I'm a big proponent of doing things efficiently to the maximum extent possible. And of course, there's no running around for checks or the checks in the mail or any of that stuff. We do secure, rapid, online ACH direct deposit right into your checking account. We get wires from title companies, and then that goes into your checking account. That process is initiated as soon as your transaction file is approved and complete. From an economization standpoint, there's no point really actually in paying for things that twice, paying for things double. Everybody has a phone, everybody has a computer, everybody has internet service at home, everybody has multifunction scanner, copier, printer type machines, all this stuff. There's no point in paying for those things twice in the form of terrible commission splits and terrible fee structures. We don't believe in that at Trendstar, and so again, everything you need, nothing you don't, and we know you already have these things, and so we just leverage that without having to, overtax our associates. That's really not our bread and butter. That's not how we make our money. So we do still make our money through investments, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We don't get our main source of revenue is not by a long stretch through our associate personnel base. So collecting generous commissions, yes, and conserve them through fiscal prudence. Indeed. Secure, streamlined payment process eliminates trips and stress. Yeah. So what everybody wants to know about our commission structure, well, we have basically three categories of agents or associates in our company. The standalone agent or associate is 100% commissions, no splits at all whatsoever. In order to qualify for this status, an associate would have to do a minimum of 7 deals, and a minimum of 3 of those have to be buyer deals, and 3 of those have to be listings or seller deals. And then they're eligible for standalone status. Now, as far as mentors, becoming a mentor or being a team leader, That's something that obviously one must be on a standalone status in order to be able to have the right to be able to discuss that as a potential. Not everybody's going to be a good fit for that, but certainly making it to the standalone status is certainly a good milestone for becoming a team leader or mentor, if that's something that you desire. The another category, if you will, would be team member or team leader. So in other words, just someone affiliated with a team. Um, our newer agents are assigned to a team leader who can have as many members on their team as they want. This is more of a standardized approach. This is something that there's a universally applicable approach or commission split structure and training and meeting schedules and those sorts of things that is left up to the team leader. We give our team leaders the autonomy to run their business as they see fit, and that culture kind of trickles down to a large degree, but we also know that it's important that our newer associates have the guidance and the vectoring and the mentorship that they need. So as far as commission splits, and those are going to be commensurate with the freebies and goodies that whatever team leader decides to bestow upon his or her team members. And then they're the ones that set additional policies over and above the company policy, the broad overall company policy manual provisions. Mentorship structure, where this is more of an individualized attention kind of thing, and a lot of this is really personality based. You might be someone who really digs the team vibe, but then others are really more like they appreciate kind of a one-on-one, individualized kind of relationship with a mentor, and we ensure that one-on-one individualized attention can be maintained by limiting the number of proteges each mentor can have to 5. So this is a graduated commission structure for the first transactions. It's an 85-15 split. 15% goes to the mentor. For the deals, it graduates to a 90-10 split. Deals to round out, deals number 6 and 7. It's a 95-5, and the idea, of course, being that you need less and less help with, the more transactions you close, the more you're going to learn, and the more confident you're going to become, and the less you're going to need to lean on that mentor for their tutelage and guidance. So it's a kind of a tiered structure, but there's rationale behind why we do it that way. Really, the company policy. This slide, this is just sort of characterize the content, the required content of the company policy manual, which you will see as you onboard if you decide to request sponsorship at Trendstar Realty. This slide is just that it's not a perfect document. There are very few perfect documents, if any, out there, and so certainly feedback is appreciated and questions are encouraged, and it is subject to change. We're just on, because you can't improve without changing. The improvement, change is inherent to improvement, and so we always want to continue to improve. So thus, those changes are going to happen from time to time. I think we're on version 7 at this point, and hasn't changed in many moons. So, but if you have feedback for me on that, I would definitely want to hear it. As far as our system process, streamlined web and cloud-based interfaces is what we lean on heavily. So whether it's our website or our back office management platform, or our transaction file management platform, or the Realtor's Property Resource, we lean pretty heavily on technology, and the point of that, of course, is to be as efficient. It's just a screenshot of our website, the homepage of our website. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than this, and all you have to do is type in trendstar.realty to get you there, and you're welcome to, of course, explore around in there at your leisure. couple of screenshots for Broker Sumo and Dot Loop. Again, we mentioned those before, just so I can get a sort of an idea about what those look like. Those are all company branded for Trendstar. RPR, if you don't know about this, this is just, this is one of the neatest things that you have access to for free, and this is by virtue of your membership in the National Association of Realtors. And it's just a fantastic repository of data. You can see there's several, and that's just a very small sampling of the different types of data that you can collect on real property, both commercial and residential throughout the United States, not just where you it's really good about crunching the data for you to spit all sorts of analytics with a variety of different kinds of reports that you can either print out and take to your clients or prospective clients, or you can save in like a PDF format and just attach to an email and send to them. I mean, either way, I mean, you really look like the expert here and the authority to go to for the answers, because they're very professionally done and they're very content rich. So I would encourage you to get into RPR and explore what it can do for you, because it really goes a long way to raising your credence and credibility. And that is also company branded as well. So if you join Trendstar, then your reports will look all the better based on the fact that they are branded for our organization. As far as our processes, well, you can see this is what we're going to go over very briefly, and this is pretty simple. We do a quarterly associate orientation training at the First American Title Company in League City. They're kind enough to allow us to use their training room to do this, and so you're welcome back to that every quarter for as many times as you'd like, because as a matter of fact, this is a lot of information, and it's hard to get it all in one presentation. So, and I totally understand that. And as a matter of fact, there's additional information that I can't go over in this presentation, just because it's a little bit proprietary in nature. And but so this is, obviously onboarding. There's a checklist for that, and it goes over all the things that you're going to need to get yourself settled in at Trendstar. And of course, you'll have an opportunity to actually download that PDF and get started at the end of this presentation. So very easy, very simple to follow. As far as getting set up, I mean, this is just sort of a quick look at some of the things you're going to need to do. The good news is you only have to do it once, and once that homework is out of the way, you don't have to do it anymore. But so it's a little bit front loaded, but that's true really of any brokerage, or it should be. So just, Dot Loop, again, the online secure transaction file management platform, and there's an authentication checklist that has to be done. Commission disbursement checklist, which allows us to do those ACH transfers online, training, marketing materials, etc. And that stuff, of course, you can access through your Broker Sumo agent portal. Signed up for that. As far as getting to work, I mean, this is just really sort of a 10,000 foot overview of client representation, but typical client representation flow. Sort of just how things ought to go. Sort of every transaction is different. You're going to get nuances and little special, circumstances associated with every transaction you do. So they're not all perfect by any means. As a matter of fact, very few are super smooth. So, but this is just, like I say, just sort of a general overview, from a 10,000 foot level as to kind of how things are expected to go typically. As far as, when you're meeting someone for the first time, maybe they notice you're wearing some sort of name badge or a shirt with a logo on it or something to that effect, and they strike up a conversation regarding real estate. Well, for buyers, I mean, you can offer to set them up in the matrix as, as a prospect that automatically gets emailed listings from the multiple listing service that fit their specific search criteria. not only when they come on the market, but also just when they have price changes and all, and that sort of thing, or status changes. And so that's pretty cool. One thing you can offer people thinking about selling their home or their property is a comparative market analysis, or CMA, which gives them, and everybody wants to know, what's my house worth, so therefore I can sort of try to ascertain what my proceeds would be upon its disposition or sale. So the transaction file management, again, dot loop. We want to get everybody under contract, and we want to get everybody. The second bullet there is IABS, stands for information about brokerage services, and we want to, obviously, in accordance with our regulatory guidelines, state mandated guidelines, go ahead and get that in the hands of folks so they have an understanding of what different types of brokerage services are available to them and exactly what each one of those things entail. But I also want to emphasize just the representation agreement as well, because that's important too. I'm a stickler for having folks under representation agreement. I know a lot of people, they'll maybe take a buyer without doing that, but it's really important to have those roles and responsibilities defined very clearly so that expectations can be managed, and that any pertinent liabilities or legal implications that can come up are addressed way in the beginning, like from the very beginning. There certainly are legal implications associated with bringing people into other people's real property, showing homes, for example. Just things can happen, and so it's just real important that that documentation is taken care of as soon as possible, so that we, again, have those roles and responsibilities defined and mitigate any risk associated with legal implications. Anyway, enough on that. So getting that work, right? This is where you're gathering data, you're sending reports, you're making yourself look really good. For buyers, you're narrowing down their prospect homes, and kind of a tidbit here, just trying to keep the showings to limited to 3 to 5 per day, just because after 5 homes they all start kind of to run together. When you get to home number 6, they're not going to remember the first property they looked at, or the special features, and it's going to be very confusing for them. So it's okay to say, look, my schedule is jam-packed. I'm going to have this much time. I'm going to have time to show you no more than 5 properties, but then we'll schedule another time to go out and see some more if these don't really cut the mustard for you. But you'll prioritize those homes and have them go ahead based on the description, the pictures in the MLS. What are their top 5 or 3, and then hopefully you can get it taken care of in one day based on that. It's pretty easy to eliminate things you don't want. As far as for sellers, you're going to walk through the property. You're going to take notes, and you're going to provide your recommendations on what they should do to prep the house for sale, as well as any staging recommendations. Of course, there's professionals out there that are happy to come in and take care of that for them. There's also professional photographers that are happy to come in and take professional, very good photos. And you just work that out with your client as to who's going to pay for it. Again, sign log box and the standard stuff there for the listing, but and any additional marketing that you might want to do beyond the multiple listing service after populating it. Some people do billboards, some people do magazine ads, or flyers or postcards. Totally up to you what you intend to do. They're your marketing dollars, so your team leader and or mentor can be a really good resource in terms of discussing with you what has worked for them in the past. And then as far as just getting to that closing table, that's when we actually get paid after doing all this other stuff. So we're seeking wins, universal wins, always. Make sure you have all your paperwork in order, your contract, addendums, disclosure, and everything is in that online dot loop, which is what we use for our transaction file management platform. So there's an email that I send everyone that tells everyone specifically what I'm expecting to see in dot loop for each of your transaction files. When you submit for review, what either I'm expecting to see or your team leader or mentor is expecting to see. that needs to be in there in order for us to go ahead and close that out and get you paid. So, and just a quick note on feedback. I mean, that's what we're here for, So please don't take it personally. We don't come out of the womb knowing this stuff, and actually, the vast majority of the stuff that you're actually going to do as a real estate practitioner and professional, it was not even taught in the licensing certification coursework. So it's understandable that you're going to have questions, and it's understandable that you're going to have a mistake every now and then. We've all made them. And it's not the end of the world, but just try not to take your feedback personally, because it's not personal. It's just to keep us all out of hot water, including yourself, and to make you the best you can. At Trendstar, we do have 2 listing types. Almost all of them are premier service, and so that's why I started with that one. We do have a basic, which is sort of a limited service listing, which we'll go over here in a minute, but it does not include, the premier service has a contract negotiation, comprehensive photography, open house services, transaction management, third-party vendor coordination, executing the documents for them, and that sort of thing. I will say that, if they do, these people, when they sell a house, they're not typically wanting to go live under a bridge. They're going to, generally buy another house. It's not always local, but if they do buy a house local and they commit to purchase representation with you, we do have a no-haggle 5% commission rate, because they're going to tell you about their brother-in-law or their uncle or whatever who's going to give them 5% anyway. They're going to try and get your commission rate down on the listing, because they realize that comes from their proceeds at closing. So they're going to try and, negotiate a lower commission rate with you anyway. And so, and you know what, you're going to take it, because we want the business. So whether or not that's company policy, I mean, that's just typically what happens anyway. And you know what, there's no point in being greedy. So if they do agree to purchase their next residence with you as a Trendstar associate, the expectation is that you would give them a break on the commission rate when you sell it. Basic service or limited service listings, that's a flat fee listing of $395, and basically we're just getting it up on the multiple listing for them. We are obviously doing our minimal service requirements and beyond, actually, full color yard signage and photography of the facade. If they want to provide additional photography of the interior and other exterior photos, they're welcome to provide a Dropbox or a Google Drive link or URL link that they can email to you, and we can download those and go ahead and put those in the listing as well. But they seller provided at this price. I mean, it's a very good price to get up on the multiple listing service, and that access is really very valuable. But we're giving them that full color yard signage, the infrared lock box, the GE Supra box that all realtors use, as well as the extensive web presence that they automatically get by virtue of the promulgation of our listings out to Realtor.com and Trulia and Zillow and a variety of other different third-party platforms. So there's an extensive web presence that comes just automatically. There's also an e-selling package, which contains all the documentation that they need, the guides and stuff to help them. But and the upgrade capability to go to Premier Service, and that's really this entire thing is about a 2-hour deal. When you do a basic service listing, you're looking at about 2 hours worth of work, and I figure roughly $400 for 2 hours work. At $200 an hour, I'll work for $200 an hour all day long, no problem at all. So, and given that the majority of these actually come back and say, wow, you guys do a lot more work than I thought, and I'm running into some trouble here, I need some additional help, that's fine. You can go ahead and upgrade to the Premier Service listing. No problem at all. And you can also cancel it at any time, because this $395 flat fee service is paid upfront. So that's kind of, it seems like kind of a lost leader, but it's really not. Especially considering, like I say, most people want to upgrade to Premier Service anyway. It's a good way to get your foot in the door. This is the 30-day sold guarantee. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road for Trendstar Realty. This is our bread and butter. again, I get a lot of questions about how in the heck do you make any money, or how does Trendstar make any money? And it's through investments. They're not all the same type of investments, but one thing that we do offer our listing clients is basically a safety net, really, that if they list their property with us, we're going to be able to give them a bona fide written offer after 30 days. If it's on the market and doesn't sell, we want them to have the comfort and the peace of mind of knowing that, they're with a company that's bringing a tool in their tool belt that no other company has. And yes, I'm aware there are many iBuyer companies out there that are either providing lowball offers to people, or asking for repairs that are totally unnecessary, and upcharging on those repairs and deducting that from their purchase price, and or charging ridiculous transaction fees. I've seen anywhere from 6 to 11% at the closing table, and all kinds of other fees that they're throwing on, and they're just thinking to themselves, wow, why didn't I just hire a realtor in the first place? This is really, they're really nickel and diming me here. And we don't do any of that. Some of them do all of that. Some of them do some of that. We don't do any of that. We don't lowball people. The way we buy real property, specifically our listings, is a way that nobody else out there is doing. And this is what's going to give you that competitive advantage. If you promote the 30-day sold guarantee to your prospective listing clients, you're going to bring something to the table that simply nobody else can. We don't have any competition on this. And so, other agents might say, well, I'll do an open house for you, or I'll take out an ad, or I send out postcards, or whatever. The only thing that really actually gets your property sold is an offer, an actual written bona fide offer, and that's what we provide. Or we can provide. I mean, a lot of times, people get to the 30-day mark and they say, well, I'm not ready to sit down with you just yet. Let's give it another month and maybe reduce the price and see what else we can do. Sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 90 or 120 days. Sometimes it's never. And that's fine. It's no big deal. We can continue to list the property in the exact same way everyone else does. But this is just something that they have, is, like I say, a safety net, and gives them that peace of mind to know that one way or another, we're going to put our money where our mouth is and get the property sold, even if we have to buy it. Now, there is an additional presentation that I provide to our associates when they come to our quarterly orientation training in person. But for this web-based presentation, it's proprietary in nature, and so we can't put it out there just on the web like that. But should you decide to request sponsorship of your license with Trendstar, then obviously that's something that you'll be getting. In addition to, we're going to really, sort of pull back the curtain and like literally get into the nuts and bolts as to how those offers are constructed, right down to the penny, and exactly the rationale behind everything we do. We just can't get into that here for obvious reasons. So, section 3. And this is just a very brief, I didn't, just sort of some highlights over the year. Back in March, we had Realtor Day at the Capitol, which was great. I was able to work with the staff of a variety of different senators and representatives, and had a great time doing it regarding wrap mortgage legislation. There was proposed legislation, and has been for the last 2 sessions, as a matter of fact, regarding provisions, legislation that would require the authorization of underlying lien holders before they could be wrapped in a wraparound mortgage. In some states, that's called an all-inclusive trust deed. And as well as a variety of other provisions and requirements for people wanting to engage in this type of property disposition, real property disposition, or this type of financing. But we were able to actually come to a compromise, which everyone was happy with, because we are already, Trendstar Realty is already doing everything that the law requires, and even that the proposed law requires with regard to, closing in a title company and using a residential mortgage loan officers to close wraparound mortgages if we exceed 5 per year in accordance with Dodd-Frank and SAFE Act statutes. Using third-party professional loan servicing company to collect payments from the back-end occupant and then disperse to all of the superior lien holders. Just all these different things that we're doing to stay above board and in accordance with regulatory guidelines. But since underlying lien holders already have they already have the recourse of foreclosure as well as other, an acceleration at their choice, already contained in the provisions of their deeds of trust in the state. There's no reason to mandate their authorization to be wrapped. This is a long-standing dispositioning vehicle for real property in Texas, and it's under attack as a result of the actions of a few unscrupulous, and I'll put it in air quotes, investors. They're not really investors; they're crooks, and we know it. And nobody likes predatory lending, regardless of its form. And so that's what I was doing, was offering up additional provisions and language in the proposed legislation that would curtail their ability to continue to behave in a nefarious fashion. This just a note on we're expanding. I mean, we started in the Houston area, but now we have agents in both Austin and San Antonio, and we just want to continue to grow. And this is sort of a good news story there. We'll just continue to do that and expand where we can. 2019 has been a ramp up for recruiting, and I want it to keep going. I want to keep snowballing that, and good agents like yourself really need to check out Trendstar and get involved with what we're doing, because we are hands-on. We care very much about our associates, and we're committed to your success. Just a couple of highlights from the Texas Realtor magazine that I noticed as far as some additional features for the Realtor Property Resource app, the phone app, and then TREC had promulgated some forms in Spanish. Now we can't use these forms for the actual transaction itself, but at least for your Spanish-speaking clientele, you can put these Spanish forms in front of them so they know what it is they're signing. If the same form is just in Spanish, and so they know, they have a better understanding of what it is that they're doing. And so obviously that's going to increase their comfort level as well. Normally we have an open form in QA for our quarterly sessions as well. So this is the part that everybody really, this is what everybody wants to know. What is it going to cost me? Well, just kidding. You have a monthly admin fee of only $39.95 a month, okay? So when you compare that, obviously, to, basically every other brokerage out there, I mean, they're $150 and up every single month. This is just a fraction of what other brokerages are charging, and this is really just to keep the doors open. The infrastructure, the things that we talked about previously in this presentation, just to maintain, the existence of the company. It's not really like, nobody's getting rich off of this. And then the only other fee is going to be a transaction fee, and this is 1/10 of 1%. So 0.001 times the transaction amount. So if it's a $100,000 deal, it's $100. If it's a $200,000 deal, $200. You get the idea, and just so on and so forth. But that's it. Like, if you are a standalone agent on 100% commissions, this is it. These are the only two things you ever pay to be an associate with Trendstar Realty. So obviously, if you're new and you need the tutelage and the guidance and the vectoring of a team leader or a mentor, they set, again, their commission splits kind of, well, not the mentors. The mentors, that's a tiered structure that we went over before. And the team leaders will set the commission splits for their teams. As of this recording, everybody, it's either 80-20 or better. And sometimes they're tiered and sometimes they're not based on the number of transactions you have, et cetera. But, and that's going to be commensurate with the goodies and freebies that you get, as we mentioned earlier. Somebody may provide you first 500 business cards or some signs or something for you to kind of help you get started. There's just a variety of things that team leaders are doing for folks, good things that they're doing for their members. And so I would encourage you really to just talk with whoever you're thinking about joining, or whatever team you're thinking about joining if you're new. So there will be, I say all that just to say that in addition to these two bulleted items here, there would be a commission split there to your team. But that's it for standalone associates. And I wanted to reward anybody who's listening to this now for those of you who are listening to this now, if you are willing to make a decision and take action, I admire that. This industry needs people like that, and this company needs people like that. And so if you're willing to make a decision and take action and request sponsorship at Trendstar Realty today, we're going to go ahead and your first month admin fee. So that first $39.95 is going to be completely waived for you, and you have a chance to get settled in, get onboarded, and if after the first month, you think that Trendstar Realty isn't right for you, there's no hard feelings. You can switch your sponsorship back to your old broker or to any other broker for that matter, and we're still friends, and there's no hard feelings at all. But we're that confident that we know you're going to want to stick around because we know you're going to love it. And so for anybody who wants to join us today, that first month, the admin fee is going to be waived for you. So there's really just no risk at all whatsoever, no reason not to go ahead and get signed up. All this is going to entail is just, if you have this in the full screen mode, you can hit escape, and if you need to, and go ahead and fill out the contact information form on the web browser page there, and then get started onboarding. It couldn't be simpler, because what that'll do is it'll kick out a message to us to let you know that you're interested, let us know that you're interested, but it'll also take you to another page where you can click on one button and get that onboarding checklist, and it'll teach you I think it's steps 1 through 6 you need to do, and then Trek will then kick out a notification to me indicating that you're ready and you want to request licensure sponsorship by Trendstar Realty. And it's at that point that I said, okay, well then we're waiving that first month's admin fee for this individual, because they were able to make a decision and take action today. So I encourage you to go ahead and take care of that. Get out of your full screen, fill out the contact form. I look forward to hearing from you, and I thank you very much for your time. Looks like we're going to be under 45 minutes for this. My contact information is there for you if you need it. That's my cell phone number, as a matter of fact. So call, text, or write an email. And of course, our website there, trendstar.realty, if you want to get in there and take a look around. Again, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it very much. This is Jay Lyde again, Trendstar Realty, coming at you from League City, Texas. Thank you for tuning in for this presentation. I want to encourage you to sign up and get involved, and we'll have that conversation as to where you need to be. But I appreciate your time, and I look forward to hearing back from you very soon.